In their best game of the most stacked Fortnite tournament, these two brothers and their teammate unexpectedly pushed this team. If they win the fight, they win the tournament. One goes down.
Unsolved. Oh my god! Oh my god! No. I got
Two goes down. Now only one was left alive. But if he gets the reboot, they will have one of the best games of their life.
Oh my god.
Nice, guys. Let's go!
Let's go!
Before this tournament, no one expected these brothers to win. See, for their entire Fortnite careers, the brothers have never played together. They always seemed to prefer different teammates until 1 month ago when they both were without a team. After finding another pro player, the two brothers decided it was time to play together. Little did they know they were about to dominate. The brothers were dropping at a split drop at the south of the map, and this was actually a really good offensive strategy they had. They would all land separately together so they could loot more places efficiently, and when they discovered secret places with extra loot like this, they were bound to get some decent loot. And they even had good rotation plans. With these launch pads they could go anywhere they want in the nearby vicinity. And they could even get wall hacks because of this spawn item here, and those will come in handy later. Unfortunately, game 1 ends terribly wrong. The brothers are pushing on this team and it's actually Mongraal, but he doesn't have a lot of loot, so you think they should win this with ease. Well, that's not how it goes. Eclipse does get a nice angle on this guy, but he makes a terrible mistake, and that's pushing in on a 2v1. Mongraal's team had the easy 2 angles on him and eliminate him, but because of how scuffed they are, he goes down. Twy here goes down because he's playing too risky. He has no mats, so he was trying to spare them. And when fights like these go down, what do they attract? Third parties. And this was just the easiest cleanup ever for this team. Dexy does try and get away, but eventually there's nothing he can do. It's a 3v1 and they catch him out. Game 2 was a much better showing of how good these brothers can really play. Eclipse only has 9 builds, so their game is over unless you get a refresh. This team is only a duo, so that's why they played so aggressive. When there's only a duo and there's a trio, the trio usually wins. But because of fights like that, they've been slowed down and they need to get ahead. Going onto the left side here was smart. There was less enemies, and then they're able to rotate onto this mid layer high ground, and it's really good. They do try and go for a refresh, but it doesn't happen. The thing is, they need a refresh. They have no mats. It's not as if one will just fall in through the sky, is it? Oh my god. That guy's death wouldn't even matter because they needed more loot. So when they can see these enemies with the wall hacks, they jump on them again because it's a duo. The thing is, this was a mistake. Third party ruins them and Twy goes down. Eclipse, Dexy, they have no HP. Even Dexy goes down. It was just left Eclipse to clutch this game out. Eclipse hits an insane shot which allows him to get a bit more loot to survive in this game. Unfortunately, he isn't aimbotting and he can't keep up that level of aim in every fight, which eventually does cause him to die. And to rub more salt into the wound, the player that actually killed him ended up winning the game. But the brothers weren't going to give up that easy, so in game 3 they decided to lock in and make it their best game ever. You would think their best game ever would start amazingly, but that couldn't be further from the opposite. Dexy is really low on materials, again like many other games, and the issue here is there are so many enemies around. There is 3 teams. This No Mercy guy, one thing he doesn't realize is though, he's rotating towards Twy. Now this was the chance for them to save their game early, but Twy actually messes up, maybe gets unlucky with recoil, I don't know, but he goes down. Dexy did go up and try and save him, but he wasn't able to. And then what happens, that team pushes Dexy. Now while all this was happening, Eclipse was getting out of there. Eventually though, Dexy does die, and luckily for Eclipse, the team doesn't push him, they push Mongraal. And poor old Mongraal, you know, we love him, but he did not have a chance against a full trio, and what happens, he ends up dying. But what is the biggest thing that saves this game is Eclipse was able to get to a reboot and get his teammates back. But wait a minute, where was Dexy? Unfortunately, in the off-spawn fight, Eclipse and Twy were not able to get Dexy's reboot card, so they were going to have to go back and get it to bring him back, which luckily for them, they were able to do. Because of needing to reboot Dexy, they were now in Storm and scuffed, and things were about to get even worse. There was enemies surrounding them that were stacked and had a lot of loot. Storm was also coming, so they needed to get out of there. Dexy does a smart play here, and when he goes to harvest this wood tree, he built in cover, and he's always looking up, getting awareness. But he didn't look ahead, and this enemy tries to catch them off guard. Luckily for Dexy though, his team is there to support him, and the enemy does rotate away. Eclipse though, as the IGL, he gets everyone together, and he makes them rotate and build. If they do not build here, they could easily get caught out and die. Eventually though, by being careful, they are able to rotate out of the storm, and because of these zip lines, they are able to easily get away from the enemies. But they needed a refresh, so what do? They aggressively W key this team. Now these weren't just some average players, but the way they played it was quite smart. A lot of fights against players of your skill level can only be won by tactics, and the tactic they did here was just play really aggressive and target singular players. So they already got rid of that guy, and now it's a 3v1 because this guy's teammate totally abandoned him. Eclipse is a great supportive brother and catches this guy off guard. In the end game, they start doing some really smart strategies. Here, yeah, they're building, that's fine, but using this hill as cover is really intelligent because the other enemies can't shoot them and they can save their materials. And like we've seen before, they use the hands to rotate in. What you're about to see next is when a player knows how broken a certain item is. Eclipse has the dog treats, and when he gets rotated all the way over to this fight, he uses them and it demolishes any enemy in sight. It even hurts him. And because everybody around them was dead or had to rotate, they were able to get all the loot. When rotating, they actually go in a straight line. That's because there was less enemies. There was players to the left, players to the right, so going straight was actually the better decision. This next rotate was going to be a hard one, and it actually started off terrible. They tried to use the hands again, but for whatever reason, it didn't work and they just fell down. It's okay though, because they just get moving. They don't panic, they don't sit there for a long time, they get rotating. Now what's surprising is they just start playing aggressive on these guys. I guess the biggest reason for this is they needed loot, and they assumed that these enemies were going to be scuffed. It actually worked out very well for them. What's crazy about this stacked game is that half of the lobby was still alive, and it was so late into the game. When Eclipse tries to rotate back to his team, he actually gets chopped and gets lobby focused. And what doesn't help is he runs out of materials. He tries to scramble, but he eventually goes down. But his teammates are really good, and they know how crucial having all players alive in endgame can be. Because of getting delayed, Eclipse nearly goes down again, but luckily there were these old builds fully built that he'd go back to and be safe in. As the older brother and the IGL, Eclipse look for awareness, and that actually allows him to get this kill. And this kill isn't just a few mats, it gives him 500 wood and his teammates crucial materials to help him make this next rotate, because it pulled max distance. Most teams would fail this rotate, but by using the hands and by not being greedy with materials, Eclipse's team was able to actually make it in. But using all those mats, it did put them in a scuff position, so they were forced to go for this risky 3v3. Dexy goes down, but Twy and Eclipse, the brothers, they clutch up and they only leave one of the other teammates alive. So what can they do? They can easily res Dexy and go back for the old loot. One of the best qualities that this team has is the brotherhood, and that's not just being ironic. They stick with Dexy here like glue, and that allows them to get a refresh. And even when they're rotating, they quickly turn around and stay with Dexy. Even though he might not be the IGL, he is the one who decided to lead this rotate. They don't force it, they don't say no, we have to stick with Eclipse. No, they stay ahead and they play like brothers. At this stage, there was 22 players left, and Dexy's team, they could do with a refresh. So when they saw this wooden wall, they knew they could get on this trio unexpectedly and get the big refresh. Now they were in a great position. They were on a higher layer, and there was a chance for them to go for height. Dexy goes up. Luckily for him, this guy doesn't spot him, so he does a beautiful side jump, and now that is all they need to go up. Twy takes down the enemy, and then Dexy does a smart play here of reconnecting the structure so it's harder to be shot down. The brothers had everything they needed to win this game that would help them win the tournament. Twy was putting pressure down, making sure everybody was scuffed and not just rotating for free. And eventually he did have to rotate himself, gets a nice kill out this guy. But what was Eclipse doing? Well, he was also kind of scuffed materials. He had 8 kills for himself, and he does a good job here at just staying with Dexy on the high ground. And Dexy, the man, the myth, the legend, and he's not the brother, but he is a crucial teammate in this trio.
I can reload it. Dead.
40 white. Scan, someone pick up.
Doing it. Did it.
Go up, behind us, on eye.
Crack 1 feet. Dead.
Circles, I'm getting them.
1 build.
Scan, Dexy, scan.
Don't see him. Follow me.
3 v 2.
Oh my god.
Nice, guys, let's go!
Game 4 didn't go exactly as planned, and guys, I just want to say thank you for watching this video, and I would appreciate it if you can share it to your friends and drop a comment down below. Thanks again for watching, and goodbye.